With a little full court press. We're going to start in Philadelphia with our senior NBA insider, Charania. Shams, we saw on Monday Paul George exited their preseason game with what the team called a hyperextended knee. How severe is this injury and how long could we see him out for?
Malika, Sixers officials told me that it is a bone bruise in that left knee for Paul George. Thankfully for him and the Sixers, there's no structural damage in that knee, but he will be reevaluated next Tuesday, the day before their season opener against the Milwaukee Bucks. And there is a level of uncertainty going into that game for Paul George. These bone bruises can be tricky. But again, the great news is that there's no structural damage after that hyperextension that led to a bone bruise. Also, I'm told Paul George was smiling. He was in good spirits at practice on Tuesday. It's believed he has been optimistic about the outcome in the aftermath of the injury. But this is overall the theme for the Sixers, maintaining their health. I reported the other day, Joel Embiid will be taking periodic time off, routine checkups over the course of the season. So him and Tyrese Maxey and Paul George, there's going to be a burden on this team with now Paul George sidelined potentially to start the regular season.
Right. This is something we're going to be watching throughout the season, how healthy this Philadelphia squad can be. But next Tuesday, we have the date circled. That's when we will be checking back in on Paul George. Shams, as always, thank you so very much. All right. So the next stop on our full court press tour here is Denver, even though we're in Los Angeles, but it's fine. Tim MacMahon here in our studios. Tim, let's talk a little bit about Jamal Murray. He's played sparingly this preseason. What's his status here for opening night?
Yeah, Michael Malone described his knee as feeling funny. Obviously not a laughing matter, though. And I don't think the concern is so much about opening night, but more so is this something that they're going to have to manage throughout the course of the season. He wasn't completely healthy in the playoffs. By his standards, he had a poor postseason. Wasn't completely healthy in the Olympics. Had a really rough go with the Canadian national team. And so will we see a fully healthy Jamal Murray? The Nuggets certainly need him to contend in a pretty loaded Western Conference.
Yeah, on the Hoop Collective podcast, as Ramona Shelburne said, he may not be their best player, but he may be their most important player here if they want to get back to that true contender status in the Western Conference. All right, that is Jamal Murray. Let's go to our reporters in the field here. Youngmisuk, Jamal Collier. I want to start with you here on Kawhi Leonard. He hasn't played this preseason. He continues to manage a knee issue. The last time we saw him, he was being replaced on the Olympic roster. What is his status looking like for opening night at Intuit Dome on ESPN?
Malika, the Clippers are practicing right behind me in the Intuit Dome as we speak, and so we'll see what the latest update is on Kawhi Leonard, but he has not gone through contact practice so far in the preseason. He's already been ruled out for the preseason finale tomorrow night, and he's really pretty much just been strengthening and rehabbing his knee. Now, if you recall, entering training camp, President Lawrence Frank said that Kawhi still had inflammation in that knee, and they were managing it. They felt they had a much better handle on it. And certainly Kawhi's people, when I talk to them, they feel much more optimistic than they did during the postseason when it was really troubling him. But with the season opener a week away, I would say it's doubtful that we see Kawhi Leonard there. They're just going to err on the side of caution. Kawhi has said the most important thing now is that he is available late in the season because he knows he's only been able to play 2 playoff games in each of the last 2 postseasons.
Wow, okay, doubtful for opening night. That's something we will certainly be keeping an eye on. Thank you, All right, let's take our press tour to Chicago because it's been over 1,000 days since we've seen Lonzo Ball on the court for the Bulls. And when he was last out there, he was playing some of the best basketball of his career. He last played on January 14th, 2022. But good news, he will be in the lineup for Chicago tonight. Jamal, how is Lonzo approaching tonight's return?
Well, Malika, he's excited to finally be preparing to play in an actual game after this many months of rehab and trying to get back on the court. But he's also acknowledged that the player that he was the last time we saw him in that game in 2022, he's unlikely to be that same level and that same presence as he was back then.
I mean, it's definitely going to be different. I mean, it's not the same body I started off with, you know. But I think I can still be productive and effective on the court. That's why I'm still trying to play, you know. So for me, it's just going out there and doing what I can to help the team win.
Now, Malika, I have spoken to some people who have seen Lonzo on the court in the past few weeks, and they agree with that sentiment. They say that you're not going to see him really getting into the lane tonight. You may not see that same defensive presence of him busting up screens, but they do hang their hat on two things with Lonzo. First is that IQ that he's been known for really throughout his entire career. And I think that passing ability is going to really be there from day one. And he was a 40% three-point shooter in that last season before he got hurt. They expect to see Lonzo helping them by shooting and passing. But overall, everybody's just excited to see him back on the floor tonight and to start easing him back into action before the season begins.
And I don't think we should lose sight of that here, Jamal. There has never been an NBA player to return from cartilage transplant surgery. And so this is a moment to celebrate.